Hey guys, it's me, Jimmy Admin Insights, and I'm your girl, Natasha Brox. And I'm coming to you today because I've recently got a lot of questions from new program coordinators, and it seems like there are a lot of new program coordinators, which is good because, as you know, GME is expanding, so we will have a fluctuating amount of new program coordinators. But I wanted to come to you because, um, I'm getting asked from the new coordinators all the time about where to start, right? So I decided what perfect place and platform to put it is here. So if you're a new program coordinator, even if you're under a year, maybe a year and a half, 2 years, the first and foremost thing, and this is how, I teach my new program coordinators. The first thing that you need to do, especially if you don't have an SOP, is to get the timeline. If once you have your specialty timeline and your ACGME timeline, put those together. Like, put them together so you know in months, and of course, starting with the academic year. Put it together so you know in July what you have to do, June, July, August, September, October, November. So you know every month what you have to do. And I usually say put it in like either a Word or Excel, right? So if you have it in Word and you merge the two timelines together, say if you're starting with the academic year of July. Now we always know that July is when the new residents come, so that's onboarding. But, and I don't know if I have it here, but you onboarding is always going to be in July. So I do have one here. I'm not at home. I'm still out of town. So you have this is emergency medicine, and then you have your ACGME timeline. So right now these are separate, right? So they're separate. This is the ACGME, and then this is the emergency medicine. So you get them, and then you merge them together in Word, right? And then what you do is for your specialty what you have to do each month, right? So it says July 1st at the beginning of the academic year, and I kind of write mine out almost like a SOP. And it goes into graduation of trainees, of course, because you have to prepare for graduation. You have to do and this is more in June, but you have to do the orientation schedule. They come on, you have to train them, you have graduation, you got to buy gifts, you have to do all of that stuff, right? So we know that we have to prepare for web ads. We have to do our PEC at the end of the years. And then you have the ACGME, which is almost the same thing, but now in July 1st, we have to update ABEM for, new and current residents, select graduation. You have to do your graduation by a year in advance because normally things book up really, really fast. So there's just different things that you have to do in July. So normally when you merge these together in a Word, especially for that month you are in, always add to it. So that way when July comes back around, not only are you remembering to do what the ACGME and your specialty timeline is, but anything specific to your organization or your program, you've added it on there so you know that you have to do it, right? This is the first and major thing that I would do being new. So that way you will not miss anything every month. And every month you have something to do, right? Always prepare your timeline. Once you get your timeline together and you're always adding to it, follow it every year until you get after your third year. It takes 3 years really to learn. 4 years you're good. But it's always something. So it's always good to refer back to the timeline. And then not only that, every time you add to it, when you do leave, you kind of have a SOP to give to the next person that will be there. Okay, so that is the first and foremost thing that I would do being new. When I was new, that's what I did. So get your timeline together, know what you have to do every month. That will take a lot of stress off of what you're doing. And then two, another thing that I would do is figure out who's who, right? So when you're new in the organization, you don't know who to reach out to, who does what. And I'm not just talking about like inside your organization. I'm talking about, your program. I even mean like, figure out, who's in your C-suite. Figure out your EVS, like just in case you need housekeeping. Those little things goes a long way, especially if you have conference, if interview season, you need stuff tidied up or done. You need to be able to reach out to EVS, to facilities, if you need to tables move, extra chairs, things like that. Always keep a running list of your contact people. And usually I would still add that like on the front page of my timeline. So that way I have exactly who I need to call in case of emergencies or last minute items. Another thing that I do is, or I would suggest is, get an activity calendar. Many times we have to put, especially if our residents are going out to different rotations, like we have our PGY2s. They go to Children's Hospital, and they require me to not only put the resident when they rotate, but list out all the days that they're off or need off, whether it's for vacation or grand rounds, didactics, education day, sim day. So if you have a list, an academic calendar, and I'm working on mine now. If you have an academic calendar, it's easy to refer to. Sometimes they will take the academic calendar. Some rotations do. Some rotations will take my block and my academic calendar, and then they will know what days the residents need to be off. But PCH, it's really tedious, but I have to put the resident, the rotation date that they're there through start and end, and then specifically what days they need off for what. So here's my blank one, but usually this is what I do. I usually start, this is an old one, but I still have it, like what days, and then like everything that we have, right? And then like the class, who needs it off? Is it all? Is it just the PGY 1s, 2s, or 3s? So I have a whole calendar. So that way, if I need to refer back to it, and I send it out to all the rotations, and you guys probably have it too, but if you don't, especially being new, do these things because have them at hand. Because if someone says, oh, your resident, do they come September the 12th? I'm sorry, that's a Tuesday. That's Journal Club. They need to be off by 5 o'clock that day, And so it's just easier to refer to. It has everything. It has their mock ITEs, any educational sim day, journal clubs, everything that we will do during that year. We list it all out in by class. So this way you have it at your fingertips. I am still working on mine, and it will be done by this week, hopefully. And so I would just suggest that you do that. Another thing that I do, and I don't think I have it with me, but I love to, I normally always, I think I left it at home. I have a list of all of our rotations. Like I'll have, say, PCH, PEDS. I'll have who the PD is there, the office, maybe like the coordinator that I always reach out to, her name and number, email, when they rotate. I have all of that information listed. So that way, and I have it in my office, I have it, so that way, just say if I'm not there and somebody, hey, how do I get in touch with so and so? If they're in the office, hey, look on here and there's a list. We have sports medicine, and every time I add a rotation, I always put them on that list, right? So if we have sports medicine, we just did a sports medicine rotation. So I've added Dr. Diddick to the list, all his information, contact person, so that way I know, or anybody else know, who to contact, right? So all of my OB, orthopedic, everything that I have on that list, and I usually will put the inside and outside. So I have a complete list of the rotations, even our electives on that list. It's easier to get a hold of if you have a list instead of continually to try to think who's on the list. So make a list of all your rotations. I wish I had it with me. All your rotation, the doctor for the rotation, the contact name, numbers, email address, everything that you can think of, the regular address, everything that you could think of to put on your list for that specific rotation. It'll make it a lot easier when you need to go back and call, or, oh, who did I email about this? Oh, who do I reach out about this one rotation? Oh my God, I need to update this PLA, so you have all of that. And then speaking about PLAs, one thing that I would do, that I do is, when I'm making my folders for everything, I have an affiliation agreement folder, a PLA folder. So that way when the PLA gets done, I put it in the folder, even though I do still put it in my new innovation for, the background work. I still use it in my, put it in my folder. And my affiliation agreements, when I get them back, I'll put it in the folder. And I just kind of like break everything down, so that way, if somebody comes behind you, they can, they'll be able to be like, okay, I can click on emergency medicine. It'll come up. What am I looking for? I'm looking for PLAs. Okay, PLA for the boom. I'm looking for something. Just say, if it's anything for the residents, I have a resident folder. So if they're trying to go for schedules or whatever, it's right in the EM folder. The resident folder. Anything residents is in their folder. So make sure when you are doing your folders in your computers, make sure they're easy to follow, and especially easy for you to remember as well. There's so many things that you'll have to touch, you'll have to do. Make sure it's easy for you. Don't make it complicated, or you got to click in this folder to click in that folder, to click in that folder. Make it all easy, because the one coming after you, will be able to make it to where they can just follow along too. And plus, you don't want to be clicking into different folders just to get something. You want to have an easy access to your folder, and then to make it just seamless, right? So those are the things offhand that I can think of to really make onboarding for yourself easy. Always follow the timeline. Add your program specific duties or tasks for that month. Make your academic calendar. It will help you if you have to put in, the different days off for your rotations, or you can just send it to the rotation and they can refer to it. Keep a list of all your rotations and the contacts to those rotations, so you don't have to really try to remember it, or who do I call and things like that. I had other questions about like our rotation or block schedules and stuff like that. And I know that my block schedule, especially after my PD does it, it just, it's everywhere and I can follow it. But I go a step further, and this is just me, that I like to put my block schedules down like this. So I know what July, what am I trying to say? What rotation time, like July 1st. So that's the first week, second week, and then it just lists it all out. And I know where they're going, when they're going, how they're going, if they're doing one or two rotations, if it's a split, things like that. So this is what I do for me. And then on my rotations, and this is, where I kind of like send it out to the other rotations so they know like when residents are supposed to be off. I even go a step further, and I'll list out the sites, and then I'll list out like their vacation days, when they can or cannot take off, and just things like that. So that way, even when I'm looking at those, so those are just for PGY2. Only PGY2 information is there. So that way I have one piece of paper. I have their block schedule for the whole year, when they can and cannot take off. I even put important dates as like their ITE, their resident retreat, their ATLS, because, they are instructors, so they have to be off. A lot of different things like that on this one paper. So that way it's specifically, all this information is specific to the PGY2, right? They have to give us a presentation for a poster by a certain date. We collect the data, complete data collection by a certain date. Then the analysis. They have a QI project. So they have to make sure they turn this in by a certain date. So this is what helps me to ensure that they are on task, and I keep them on task. So, especially when it comes to their research, we do a lot of research here. So we make sure that they follow their timeline. And I usually be like, okay, especially for our PGY ones, because they're new, I'll say, okay, your, let's just say your HIA, IAH. Okay. And so now I'm blanking on it, but you have this certificate due by November 1st. It's, October 30th or October 15th. You have 2 more weeks. So I just, it's easier for me, to look at. I put it on my calendar as a reminder too. So when I see it on my calendar, then I'll email them as well. I guess that could be a fourth thing for a new program coordinator, is to, when there are certain due dates, not just for yourself, but for your program or for your residents, I usually put it on my calendar as a reminder. So if there's something, let's just say August 15th, I'll put it on my calendar now for August 15th. So that way when the 15th rolls around, it will say residents, let's say resident certificate due August 30th or something like that. So that reminds me to put out an email that says, hey, friendly reminder that your certificate is due August 30th. And then, they'll start emailing me. They'll start sending it in, or, they'll start doing it and then sending it in to me. So that's something that I do as well. But you always want to make it easy on yourself. Don't reinvent the wheel. Don't think too hard on a lot of things. I just this works for me, and you just have to find what works for you. This worked for me, so that way when I did it once, and then it's like it's done for the whole year. The calendar of events that we have, it really works, because I'll hang it up in the office, and the residents, they normally look at it. They usually ask, hey, when are we doing this and this and this? So I'll send out the calendar to them, so that way they have the whole list of what we're doing, and they're like, oh, okay, cool. And then they can put it on their calendar for future reference, everything that's on my calendar on their calendar, and they are set to go. So yeah, those are just some things that I do that help me when I am running my program, and little insights of what helped me get started when I was a new program coordinator. But once you go around one or two, three, sometimes even four times, you will get the hang and it will become repetition. But the one thing that I will stress is your timeline. You, even if you've been in the game for 5 years, there is something that you may always miss. So if you continue to refer to your timeline, then you ensure that you get everything done and completed that you need to. Those are the things that I can tell you, that has helped me. So I just thought I would come here because I got a lot of questions about it, which was crazy. But I was thinking, well, we do have a lot of coordinators now. So just in general, in every specialty, just across the country, there are a lot of new coordinators, and I saw that at ACGME as well. So it didn't really, it surprised me, but I guess I shouldn't have been surprised when I was being asked this question, because if you're just starting out, then and we all know we really don't get trained. But so this is some of the things that I really kind of think about. So if you have any questions, if you have especially specific to maybe what you're going through, hey, reach out to me. I am here. I will give you the advice. I'll be a listening ear. I've helped several new program coordinators get set up, like literally office set up, on how they really didn't know like how they should be set up, what they should have, what they shouldn't have, as far as like files and stuff, just anything. Because I feel like if you are good in your office, it will help your flow of your work, right? If there are things that you may not even think about because you're new, that a seasoned coordinator would be like, oh, don't forget this, and do you have this, and make sure you got that, and timeline, make sure you follow your timeline for different things. So I just think that, if you have someone that you can reach out to, ask them questions, and they will give you positive feedback, especially that's unique to you and your specific questions, then that's what you need really also to ground yourself and get started. So feel free to reach out to me, ask me any questions. I'm thankful for the ones who have, and I work with them a lot. I know someone asked me about block schedules, and I'll probably have to do that once I get home, because I only brought some certain stuff with me. I'm still at AAEM in Austin. So I just thought I would come on here real quick to share these little tips. I'll probably come back and give more, but this is what I have for now. And I'll finish reading through my questions and come back and answer them as well. So check it out. Let me know your thoughts. If you do this, end up doing like a timeline or an academic calendar or what have you, let me know. Let me know what you think about it. Even the academic calendar is good because it also keeps you prepared and helps you to see what you're doing next in your program, and what you have to schedule for. Are you bringing something to the retreat? Are you make sure you do everything for your ITE, your mock ITE, and your real ITE. Wellness days. Do you have to prepare for your wellness days? Do you have to buy food for your journal club? We know at certain times. So, put in there, hey, journal club is on this Thursday. I have to buy food by this day. Any ATLS courses, we have our GMAC. I put that on the calendar for the residents as well. We have little things like in November, we have I have residency Friendsgiving. It takes the place of Thanksgiving. We have kickball game. So I'll put all of that. I'll put all of our wellness days, our SIM days, any holidays, Labor Day that we're off. I'll put that as well, just to keep everybody informed of what's going on. And I'll put all of these on my calendar as well, so I am up to date on that, so nothing slips through the cracks. Because we all know that our program depends upon us, so we have to keep ourselves together in order to keep the residency together. So that concludes this little webinar, seminar, talk, podcast, however you want to call it, because I really don't know. I just wanted to come and give this information. But that concludes it. So if you need anything, please feel free to, like I said, to reach out to me, ask me whatever you like. And like I always say, continue learning, continue your growth, okay? Because your growth matters. And with that, I'm out. See you later.